Thank you for joining us in the Self-Love Summit. I'm Mia Saenz, your host. And with me this segment is Dr. Sarah Larsen. Welcome.
Thank you, Mia. I'm so excited to do this, and I'm so excited for everyone that's joining us.
I'm beaming. I'm excited to have you here. You're
Yes.
A very special person to me, and always you're so loving with others. And okay, so I want everybody to know about you. So tell your story of how you got to where you are presently. It's a magnificently rich story, so I'm going to sit here and enjoy it again and maybe get something new.
Well, what's amazing is there's so many layers of story that I can share. But the part that I love sharing is when I was 14, I was in an arranged marriage and to a 28-year-old doctor, and expected to be a proper wife. And at about age 19, because I didn't comply, and quite often I was forced into different things, both sexually, forced to be particular ways, emotionally, to show up and do things, I really learned so much. And then at age 19, I was left for dead. And about 3 months of in and out of consciousness, I really got to visit the other side and see through the veil how I had chosen this relationship, how I had chosen all of these experiences to really get in touch with who I am. Not on the level of form, but on the level that was not formed yet. And I got to really understand each of us, you, Mia, and everyone listening, being another version of myself. Everyone I meet, I really experience them and know the true essence from that time frame. I wouldn't go back and change anything in my life back then or any of the experiences. I didn't get who I was completely, though. I felt bad about what had happened. I really wanted to be a good daughter for my family, for my parents. I felt like there was something fundamentally wrong with me, or if people really knew me, they wouldn't like me. And in that process, I wound up really being of service as well. I love to serve anyway, but I went to med school. I went and worked with charities, delivered 300 babies in India, the charity hospital system within our country as well in Louisiana. And I really got present to how blessed I am from 14 to 19 to really understand I have so much freedom to be dead and experience lifting of the veils and the process of how I chose this life, and really going out into the world and getting, wow, this is a beautiful gift that we've been given. And the keys on how to unlock that gift fall really in that theme of self-love.
Well, they really do, and even more so for you. I forgot about the part about your marriage. I knew you were in an arranged marriage, and I forgot about that part because when I first heard it, I was in a not as joyous state as I am now. So we receive things differently. That's why, audience, it'd be wonderful to review the summit, because there's so much that we may not get at one point, but watching it again, it comes back, and wow, it touches us differently. So I'm sad, but I'm happy for your growth. I mean, that just blew me away.
There's so many stories in my life in terms of, there was a time that after having babies, my beautiful daughter and my beautiful son, that I went into depression. And even with all the cascade of hormones, it took some realization of who I truly was again. I went so heavily into creating a body that nurtured the babies that were coming through. I really surrendered. I nursed both of my children for a long time, and I really went into forgetting who I was. And it's so amazing that no matter where you get to in life, accomplishment-wise, within yourself, you can forget who you truly are. And it's perfect that you forget, because you have this opportunity to recreate and have so many lives within this one life as well.
And I too have, along the same lines, I'm grateful for my abusive childhood because it truly has brought me to a place of wanting and always wanting to help others. At one point it was over myself, and then I realized, no, it's along with me. Come on this beautiful ride of how wonderful life is. And I also had postpartum depression, so I didn't realize that. Yes, and I love how you said that those moments are beautiful because we get to rebuild ourselves, and we do.
Yes.
When we're in it, we don't. And a lot of my clients, they come slightly depressed because something's off or not right, hormonally or whatever. And I like that you brought that back around, because it is true, and that we can recreate, and that's beautiful. Thank you.
And it's so important to get. There's so much healing that can happen within your body, and sometimes you've got to allow yourself to get around people that have been there and been through it and come to the other side to share with you. That's why it's so important to work with someone that you really feel comfortable with, that gets you and can see into and understand your potential as well, that part of the journey that you've been on. And I think 1 out of 4 people in our country is on antidepressants. 1 out of 4. 1 out of 3 is on some form of medication.
Oh, I'm sure of that. Of some form, because we tend to go to, as a society, medicine to heal us rather than a holistic side.
And I think it's so important to get that. Those are tools. And I'm a medical doctor as well. And so I really get the understanding of medicine from that end. And being trained by my grandmother in palmistry, being able to see into what you're here to really experience and do, and to connect you back to yourself. And it's really one of the things that I love talking about is often somebody will come in and say, I'm not being my ideal self. And we'll talk about, well, what's the ideal self? And they're like, attending school, doing this perfectly, or showing up for that. I feel lazy, and getting to understand that your ideal self is not the one that is doing what you think you should, but your ideal self is honoring what's happening in the moment, and is honoring that part of not judging yourself. My husband and I have a saying between us when we first got married: you're forgiven before you do anything. And then I've brought that into practice with teaching people to say to themselves, you're forgiven before you do anything, looking in the mirror and really saying that to themselves. And there is no place that you're trying to get to. It's being who you're here to be allows you to accomplish, feel, love every aspect of your life.
That's beautiful. I love that. There's so many things I want to ask you. I want to ask you about being a medical intuitive, because I knew you were, but I met another medical, or a couple of them, and one of them wrote this amazing book called Pope Annalisa. And when he was talking about it on my radio show a year or two ago, I was just blown away at the process. Would you talk about that? Because it's incredible.
Being a medical intuitive, and everyone has this ability. We walk into a room and we get a gut instinct of, wow, something just wasn't right here in this energy space. A medical intuitive just has used, for me, I've used that skill since I was about 3 years old, going into 7, going into a process of being asked by my parents these wise things, being able to see and say to someone, go get that checked out right away, even as a kid, because seeing a dense energy around that. We are all energy. Everything in the universe is energy. And really being able to interpret that energy is what a medical intuitive does, is being able to see that and connect that back to thought processes or family processes that have happened and how they've created a result in your body. Our bodies are radios, two-way radios. They're transmitting a frequency all the time, and they're receiving frequencies all the time. And to really understand, a good metaphor for this is, we get the rainbow. We can see the whole spectrum of the rainbow, but actual light this is a rainbow, and actual light falls into quite an expansive space. So instead of just that part that we're able to see with our visual eye, a medical intuitive can tune into the entire spectrum of the rainbow that's not seen and give it languaging. Your body is sending out signals constantly. First, they're subtle signals, but eventually they get very dense signals that turn into dis-ease in the body. And once given a voice, they're able to really let go of what they're trying to tell you, what your body's trying to tell you.
That's very interesting. When I was attuned in Reiki, I could diagnose people's issues, and I had no idea that they would have them, but my hand vibrates. This is my magnetic hand. And any type of a field that's off, I feel it in my hand when I scan somebody. Interesting. Okay. We'll talk about that later. Wow. That's brilliant. It really is. And I've had a healing with you a couple years ago that changed my life. And then I've also seen you again. And you're brilliant at what you do.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you. And for me, I would say I tune into you. And it's that I'm reflecting your brilliance back to you. So all healing is self-healing. And I share with you just the things that you can't put into words, that you know already. That's why it comes across as such truth. My truth is not your truth. But your truth is true for you. And it's really important to get that that's what self-love is. Being able to honor your truth more than any other voice or source of information coming through. And to find a form for that really excites you and connects you to your happiness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some people we've had on this summit, you're the last to be interviewed, and now I'm really glad, and now I know why.
Thank you.
It all fell into place beautifully. Some of these people on the summit, they do a type of rituals and stuff, and you and I were talking about that recently, and it is beautiful to honor yourself in doing rituals.
Yes.
Whether they're baths, whether they're walks, eating apples, whether they're whatever makes you happy, your candles, your meditation.
Well, we're a society of people that have been letting go any sort of ritual. We've really removed so much of the things that we would do. We're an 800,000 humans' life has been here for so long. On Earth, but there is a part of us that has never been born, that's never died, and that part has ways to tune in better to itself. And you have things in your environment that are looking for ways to show up in your life, so you can be more of who you truly are over that vast period of time by constructing rituals for yourself that really bring you joy, that honor what you are, allows you to tune in better. It's kind of like turning stuff off at the same time every day to really honor what's coming through, up and through for you.
That is beautiful, because we live in a society where we're going.
Yeah.
And I know that when I got married this time, I would hop out of bed and say, okay, let's go. And my husband's like, oh no, I quiet myself, and he's like, how can you just move so fast? I'm like, years of training. And then I realized that that may be my method that I can use to be on alert and to move, but that's not everybody's, and it allows me the time for me in the morning.
Yes.
If I get up, great. I get up and I can do whatever I need to do. And it's beautiful to honor that in all of us. Everybody watching this, find something that you can find to honor yourself in your morning and at night before you go to bed, so that you can be smooth and calm for a beautiful, restful experience. That's when a lot of downloads come in.
Yes, I have a ritual of, before I take anything into my body. This is based on Dr. Emoto's work. He did the work with the crystals, with water, and taking pictures of how they show up in these perfect forms. And it's really been amazing to watch and witness what happens to my body when I have. I'm so grateful for this food, the loving hands that prepared it, provided it, and served it, and for all the loving ways I get to utilize this energy. And when, 98%, up to 98% of us can be water. Most of the things around us are water. And it's really amazing when we take that into our body. We're changing the molecular energy of what's there. And that's a ritual. It's a tradition that we do to bless every hand that touched the food along the way. I'm so grateful for this food, for the loving hands that prepared it. It's been prepared from the earth all the way up. If you have a relationship to Source, the light that God or the angels are praying over that grass, saying, grow, grow, that you're honoring every part of the process.
Yes.
So whatever I'm eating transforms and transmits this energy of love to all of my cells. And that's one of the rituals. I think it's so important and easy to bring in. And Dr. Emoto did this with rice. He took cooked rice and put it in a jar, and put another half in another jar. And on one jar he put good for you, and in another jar he wrote bad for you. And every time school children walked by, they would feel good about this rice and transmit the energy of not good on this rice. Same rice, two different jars. The one that had good for you on it, no mold, nothing diseased showing up. The part that had not good for you on it had blackened, had fungus, and so often, every day, we're looking at that food that our body is craving, and we're like, you shouldn't be eating this. It's so bad for you. It's going to cause this. It's going to cause that. Your doctor said not to eat it. My mom, my neighbors, everyone on television. And we put all of that energy into that food, and then we take it in.
Wow. Yeah.
And we expect what we create in our bodies.
Yeah.
And so whatever you're putting in, and slowly over, as your molecular structure is becoming more one with, the medicine, the food, whatever you're putting in you, the more you're able to love yourself, and the more you connect with the foods that reflect even more love to yourself.
When you were first talking about all the hands that touch the food, and the beautiful light and warmth and sunshine growing on it, grow, it made me realize of the love that the farmers have for growing their crops, and how they tend to the soil before, and then they plant their seeds. You know, they prepare the ground, and then they plant their seeds, and they water, and they're so excited for those, you know, little seedlings. And really, when you think about all that, the whole process, eating your food really should be about that whole process, because how much more beautiful is it to feel that excitement, and then the good food that you're eating, it makes you want to eat good food, and it makes you want to take it into your body. And I love that you brought up the Dr. Emoto thing, because we did talk about that on the show, and also in another segment I had mentioned that I had a peach tree that at one of my houses that I didn't know that it was a peach tree, and then all of a sudden I saw its beautiful little flowers in the spring, and I was so excited, and I would talk to it every day. I'd go sit out as my little ritual on my steps in the morning and at night and talk to this peach tree right there, and it had the most abundant fruit that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, more than 100 a day would fall if they weren't picked, and the neighbors would come in and scoop up, you know, peaches, and it was brilliant. It was a brilliant experience, you know, to fall in love like that.
It's so lovely to feel the love of the earth coming up. You're exchanging air with this peach tree all the time. It's receiving from you the CO2 and giving back to you the ideal oxygen. And it's amazing. There's this great book and this great video now, The Secret Life of Plants, that really talks about the consciousness that's behind that. And what's really amazing is each one of our cells has a consciousness. Each one of our little, everything that's coming off of us is, all of our breath is going out and mingling with all of this other breath as an expression. We're letting go all the time of what no longer serves us, even without knowing it, and inviting in with every breath exactly what we need. And so when you consciously do this as a ritual, sitting next to a plant and receiving the energy and consuming the beautiful fruit it gives for you, or sitting down and saying, right now, with every breath, I'm going to let go of what no longer serves me. Your body's going to release things. Thoughts are going to come up that aren't serving you, and you'll have a new relationship with that thought that allow you to let it go, and you're going to draw in, and I'm breathing in love. That's another ritual, another thing that you did with this peach tree, talking with it. You created this bond, and it's on a molecular structure that each one of your cells was able to receive it as well. Let go and receive hundreds of peaches.
Yes, it was beautiful.
With that tree, it's so beautiful to have your tree is loving you. It's producing evidence of the attention, the love that you're giving it. The same thing will happen with your body. The more attention you give it, the more it's going to produce these beautiful fruits. Fruit like ideas that serve you, fruit like energy to go out and do exactly what you want to do, fruit like being a magnetic force for bringing in the partner that's worthy of you.
Yeah. I have a different respect for fruit trees, and also when I see different plants growing in the ground like lettuce or cabbage, or even carrots. It's amazing. I see people's trees in their yards. The thing is about the story, just briefly, is the peach tree was cut down the next year. And when I told the story on air, it was our first showing, I cried on air saying, my peach tree! Because I drove back, and I had just driven back recently when I interviewed that guest, and I was like, oh, my peach tree was cut down. And it's really sad that people don't respect living, producing elements like they should. Truly. I remember my mother cut down my avocado tree that I grew from a seed with my dad, and that was devastating. But anyways, okay, so respect and love our food like we respect and love our body. That's beautiful. Thank you.
just that one seed produced so much fruit for you.
Yes.
That one peach produced so much for you. And being able to let go of what didn't happen is so important as well. There are seedlings. I love that you shared this part and that you brought up, that holding on to that thought that it shouldn't have been done is causing havoc in your system. And it's not really receiving the hundreds of the seeds that came out of each one of those peaches. Therefore, how do you know that this is the right thing for that tree?
Right.
Or the avocado tree or the peach tree, or for you? You know it's the right thing because it's happened. You will never cease to exist. That peach tree, that avocado tree will never cease to exist. It's existing in another form now. Part of it is existing inside yourself in the story. And to really receive and accept what happened. And I'm holding my hand up like this, so instead of pushing back and forth, it shouldn't have happened, it did happen, this is what it means, this is what it doesn't mean. It's such a gift to get that it happened. And what is the gift that you get from it? And what is it? You get to share the story on air. You get to connect with an emotion, like your deep love of plants, your deep gratitude for everything that it gave you, a knowing for that experience. You get to connect with this experience of the person who cut it down as well. There's something to really connect with there, to feel, wow, here's another being that really affected my life.
So forgiveness, right there, forgiveness.
Getting, this is a gift this peach tree continues to give you in this energy form. A couple other pointers, and what else? Having it being cut down, that's the flat part. Accepting what happened, and then taking a look at the other parts and what does it give you from what is. And that was such a big lesson for me as well. When things happen, like my husband decided he was going to move to the other side of the country for a little while, and we slept in the same bed, and we had, my attachment parenting, and all of a sudden I had to come up with, oh my gosh, what do I need to accept here? What do I have to look at? And even it took a process. It took a long time to really get what the gifts were. Today I can see it and I see all the gifts in it. But whenever a feeling of, oh, it shouldn't be that way comes up for me in my life, it's such a gift because I get to examine another part of myself. And with that, my kids, my sweet kids, got to spend time with their grandmother who had cancer that we didn't even realize had cancer at the time. They got to spend a year together, and I wouldn't have traded the sadness that I felt for that time that they got to spend together. I wouldn't trade the processing that I went through, that shock that showed up. And that really allows me, whatever comes up, I take a look at and say, what is it that I need to accept?
Right.
And for me, that's such a powerful thing to really take a look at it and get the jewels and the gems, and to really honor my feelings. Like, I try very hard not to say, you shouldn't be feeling this. One of those fingers is always, and you get to feel this. You get to feel the sadness. You get to feel alone. You get to feel the desire that it creates for having them in your life, in bed. All of that. As attachment parenters, if our kids wanted to sleep with us, they, jumped right in. Right.
My kids did too, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's such a gift, and I really Mia, I love you so much for sharing the peach tree story, and I feel that so much with your connection to plants and your connection to the food that's around you and serves you.
I feel it's part of our earth. It's part of who we truly are. When the last several nights, my husband and I, we sit on since we moved from Florida, we enjoy the front of the yard. We sit on it's not a patio, but the entryway. It's beautiful. And when the moon is starting to come up or is up, I walk I walk in the grass without my shoes on, and I'll tell him I'm going to feel the energy from Mother Earth. And he watched me the other night, and he told me the next day, he said, that was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Oh.
He said, and you're allergic to grass. And I said, well, not when it's not cut. When it's just on the ground, I'm okay walking in it. But it was beautiful because that connection that we have to, Source is the ground, is us, is you, is me, the whole energy that is flowing within us. It's beautiful.
I love how intuitively smart you are as well. This is part of science now backs that act of walking barefoot on grass as regrounding into the earth's frequency. Constantly in this room, I've got all the internet connections. I've got all the cell phones, all the radios that my radio can pick up, all the radio frequencies that my radio can pick up. All of those are going around in this office space. And for me to and science backs this, for you to get back to your own frequency, walking on the earth barefoot allows you to ground in to the frequency of the earth. And we have created all of this energy all around us constantly. And that's one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself. And and for your husband to catch the beauty that you radiate is just so beautiful. But it is literally healing your body.
It is. I have my clients go out on walks, even if they live in the city, because I tell them you have to connect to the trees. Look at the leaves and feel the energy and smell as you walk by. There's beauty everywhere. And that's part of the self-love. That's part of connecting to our frequency that's external, like you said, from all the headsets and the computers and the phones and the neighbor's TV. I don't have TV, but the neighbor's TV, everything. I can even feel some of their stuff sometimes. So it's grounding us back to who we truly are. And who are we truly? Thousands of years ago, we didn't have this stuff. It's wonderful we live in an age that we do. But what did we do? We worked in the dirt. We built things with our hands. We, we grew our own food, made our own medicine, prayed over it. So truly,
and we live to 900 years old. We have books and evidence of human beings living to 900 years old. We have that amazing ability within us now, and not like decrepit and old, but really healthy in the physical form, vibrant, fulfilled. What we get now, I love this, is we get to live like kings and queens. 100 years ago or 200 years ago, we didn't have running water. We couldn't travel around the world on a whim. Only kings and queens got to experience that. We didn't get entertainment, that constant, if we want to be entertained, if we want to be inspired, if we want to really connect to all of that history is available to us. And it used to only be the kings and queens that got to hear the other languages.
Isn't that amazing?
Foods from around the world. You can go to China and literally Chinatown in California, or the Chinese restaurant right down the street, and have food for China, have food from Brazil for another meal, and literally there's people from that land left the residual of their energy on whatever you're receiving, the Brazilian nuts grown in Brazil, the Chinese herbs that were put into the Chinese food.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're literally
It's
traveling the world with
Mm-hmm.
what you eat or with
Mm-hmm.
being in those rooms and those spaces.
You know what's amazing, and then we're going to move on because we're almost out of time. But you know, I just started thinking about, since this has turned into an intellectual show here. Do you remember how powerful the drive was for different sailors? I'll call them sailors. There were more than that, to discover the trades, the spices, the chocolates, even gold. But they did it with such love and passion that they knew they may not return. They knew they may not see their family ever again, but they did it because their passion was to find it, their excitement was to bring it, and their love was to give it. So,
and they were following their bliss, like you're sharing, they were following their bliss. And at some level, we know we're never going to cease to exist. That's in every one of our cells that understands that. And that's part of the reason we're driven to really be ourselves, to improve our understanding intellectually or emotionally or spiritually. It's why we're curious. That's one of the things that makes us human, is that curiosity level.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you like to share your free gift with us?
Oh, absolutely. I've got, and I really love everyone that's I get to be with and I get to enjoy. And so our voices are some of the most important gifts that we're given. The words that we say, they are literally transmitting a frequency. And so I have a guided meditation to really tune you in to yourself, to your inner voice, and connect you with a part of yourself, and to awaken yourself from the core of each one of those cells.
That's wonderful.
That's my free gift. And I love answering questions. I love leading tours around the world. And we have a trip coming up. Connie Costa, I think she was one of your guests as well. We're going to
I had her speak about it. So
Sicily.
Yes.
And so I would love for anyone that hears this and wants to come. I love having conversations and emails. And I truly get you're another version of me. And if I've got the time and the availability space, if I can help you in any way, I'm so happy to do that.
And I know from knowing you for two years now that you absolutely are your word. So absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been truly a wonderful gift to have you on. And you are a busy woman, but you are there for people, which I'm very grateful. I mean, that's proof enough, again, that you were able to make this shoot, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Sarah.
You're so welcome. I'm catching a flight to Minnesota.
I know.
It's like right
in a few minutes you're leaving your office, I know.
So I'm so glad that we worked this in. And I love you so much, Mia. Thank you for all that you're doing. You really, truly are making such a difference on the planet. And I'm blessed to be a witness to that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's my heart drive.
Yeah.
Is to help. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in another segment of the Self-Love Summit. Goodbye.
Goodbye.